Hi and welcome. Just to keep us up to date and moving along, we're going to do a quick little application that's going to be very helpful, I hope, for many of you, which is learning how to make something, an area of your app, scrollable. And to do that, it's actually pretty darn easy. So what we're going to do is a really simple little application that just has a bunch of icons in it and an area that we can scroll up and down. So to do that, let's get started. We're going to create a new Xcode project. It's single view. Next. And I'm going to call this one My Scroller. You can call it whatever you want as long as you know what it is. Make sure that this information matches here, that the language is Swift and the device is iPhone. We're going to go next. And then you just need to save it someplace. So I'm going to do that. Here we are. Okay, the first thing we need to do is we're going to have a bunch of little icon images just as something to work with. Really, you can use any content, but for the purposes of this project. So we need to click on the Assets page, and we're going to need to get our icons in here so we have them to work with. I have them out on my Finder. Here's my icons. I'm just going to take this whole folder and drop it in here. So it's right underneath App Icon. You can see it's still in the XC assets, Xcode assets, and here they all are. So now they're in my program. So I'm going to then go over to Main Storyboard, and just like we've been doing, I'm going to make this a reasonable size and not this kind of weird square shaped. So I'm going to click on View Controller, change it to a size that I want to work with. And there it is. It's a little bit better. And we need to just do a couple of things to get this working. First of all, we need what's called a scrollable area or a scrollable view. And this is pretty logical. We just scroll down in our library, which I'm going to open up just a little bit. And we're going to scroll down until we find this thing called scroll view, and we're just going to drag it out. We want this to fill up most of the screen. Whatever size area this is the area that will be scrollable. So I'm going to get that closer, and I'm going to drag this down so it fills it up. So if you just wanted a small scroll area, then you could leave this smaller, and whatever's in it, then the user could, using their fingers, scroll through it. The second thing that I want here is, just because it seems appropriate to have, is a title. So we're going to give this a label. I am just going to say My Scroller, so we know what this is. And I'm going to center it. Okay, we're actually a good chunk of the way through. This is pretty easy. Now we need to get our images into our scroller. So I need to go back to my library, go down and find Image View. And we're going to need 4 images, but just drag one out for right now. Make sure it goes into the scroll view area. You can tell that you've done it correctly if you look to the left-hand side and you see scroll view and the image view is inside of it. So we did that. Now remember, these are just going to be little icons, so I need to change the size of this, and I want to make them little squares. To do that, make sure your image view is selected, and then we're going to go into our Utilities menu and select the little ruler icon. We don't care about the X and Y axis, but we do care about the size. So I'm going to change my width to 60, my height to 60. And I'm just going to slide this over a little bit. And now I need to make 3 more. So I'm just going to do a copy paste and just kind of slide them into place. You don't have to be real accurate with this because we're going to use a thing called stack that's going to help us make sure everything is aligned. So just to make sure you can kind of see what's going on, I made sure these are a little uneven. You don't have to. And now we need to put our images in here. We have the image views in place. So I'm going to just click on one. I'm going to go back to the Utilities menu, select the attributes, and we're going to select an image. And because we dragged that folder in, there should be our different icons. Go ahead and use whichever of the 6 that are here. We only have 4 spaces. So I'm just going to grab some different ones. It doesn't matter which ones you grab. Grab whichever you like. So there we have it. Okay. Now I'm going to shift click each of these 4 icons so that they are all highlighted. Then I'm going to go down to the bottom of my screen to this little icon down here that looks like 3 rows with an arrow on top. If you mouse over it for a bit, it says stack. Go ahead and click that. See how it brings it together in a nice little bunch? This is kind of like grouping in any of the Adobe products, because it forms this nice little group, but we have more control than you would with, say, a group. Because one of the things that we can do here is, this is a horizontal stack, which is actually the way we want it. And if I go over to the right-hand side now, when I've got my stack selected, I can see that the axis is horizontal. If I wanted to, I could make it a vertical stack. So that's just as easy. You can't do that in a group. So this is where it's a little bit different, but it is working with each of the items as if they were. The other thing that I want to do is I want to put some space between them. So I'm going to do 30 points, and you can see it automatically gives me a nice little space. Okay. I want to actually center this so that it's all nice and pretty, and I need to make 10 of these total. Because what we want to do is make sure that they extend off the screen. So just like you did with the icons, go ahead and create, just do copy and paste. That's all I'm doing. But make sure you copy and paste the whole stack and not just an individual image. And you can tell the difference by, if you click an individual image, it'll have the little red box around it. If you click the entire stack, it'll have the drag handles, the controlling handles around the entire group. So I'm just going to grab and make sure I have a whole bunch of them here. Okay, I'm losing count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I need 3 more. And for right now, you'll notice that they're all pretty much on the screen. This last one's going to go off a little bit. They are actually going to go off a lot once we get done with this. But remember, this is a scroll view, so we're going to be able to see everything. All right. So with all of our scroll or our stack views selected, what I'm going to do here is over in the left-hand side, it's easier to just, you can shift click and make sure that they are all selected. You can see that they're all selected. And we're going to go back down, move back down, and click stack once again. Give it a second here. I've got the beach ball because this is pretty intense. Okay, now you can see it's like one big group. It's selected vertical. And I want some spacing in these just to make sure that they go off the screen. So I'm going to do spacing of 50. Now you can see there's some good spacing in between these, and we can only see 6 of them on our screen. Okay, we have the graphic part set up. Now we need to set up the outlets and the actions. And to do that, I'm going to hide my navigator menu over here because I just want more real estate. You don't have to if you're working on a big screen. And I'm also going to hide my document outline just again so I have more real estate. Then I'm going to go up here and click on the Assistant Editor. Give myself a little bit of room. I'm going to scroll so I can see these. What I need to do is click within the scroll view, not the stack view, but the scroll view, so the big box, and either control click or right click and drag to right under where it says Class View Control. This is an outlet, so we're going to leave this, and I'm going to call it the scroller because that's what it's really doing. It's our scroll view. Make sure it's the scroll view and leave everything else. Click Connect. Just because I like to leave a little space in between so it's easier to read, I'm going to go in and do that. Unlike some of the other projects that we've done, there is not actually a true action, where we click and drag to create the action. What we're going to do is actually add it right here into this override function, which is Viewdidload, meaning do this when the app loads. So I'm just going to add a return, a couple returns after the green, but make sure it's before this closing curly bracket, and type in the following. We're going to call up the scroller. So make sure that that's the same name as right up here. And then after this, we need to do some stuff. So we need to say that we're going to say the content size of it equals CG size make. Now make sure you do size make, because that'll give us a width and a height. And what that's doing is saying this is the area that you can scroll. So I'm going to make mine 300, and notice it's 300.0. And I'm going to make the height 1,000. And that should give us plenty of room to scroll up and down. Basically saying that you have 1,000 points to scroll up and down, which is going to be off of the size of our screen. That's it for the code for this little application. So I'm going to go ahead and build my app by clicking the play button. Build succeeded, so we're going to go out to the simulator. It's still running. There are all my little icons. And notice I can scroll, oops, I grabbed the wrong thing here. I can scroll up and down. And there's the bottom of it. It looks like maybe I need a little bit more than just 1,000. So I am going to go back into my code, and I'm just going to give this like an extra 100. I'm going to stop the build I have, and I'm going to click play. I'm going to rebuild. And now you can see I even have a little extra white space, but that's okay. That is your scroller. That's all there is to it. So good luck, and I will see you in class, and we'll talk about creating multiple scenes on Thursday.